Hey, hello guys. So we will be discussing the spherical surface refraction formula and its derivation. So take your book and try to make a note of it, and so I'll try to make it as easy as possible. It's a very simple derivation, but since it's a derivation important for your school examinations, you need to be writing the reasons for each and every step. How are you writing? When I'm going to write that particular step, I will tell you all those reasons you need to explicitly writing in your school examination paper, because they will be looking for all these particular steps when you're writing the derivation. Okay, it's a very important 5 mark derivation, spherical surface refraction formula. The formula we have already seen, mu2 by v minus mu1 by u equal to mu2 minus mu1 by r. Okay, so let me just add the title for the session, and you by the time you just be ready with your book. And okay, so you see that's the title for the session. All right, so let's start. It's a very simple geometrical derivation based on trigonometry and certain assumptions. So all those things I'll be telling you. Just that the important thing is you need to make note of it in your book and write all those points in your examination paper when you are presenting it. Okay, so let's start. Spherical surface refraction. Okay, spherical surface refraction. Okay, so we have a boundary in the form of a sphere which separates like two different media. Okay, so instead of this orientation, what I'm going to do is I'll take orientation like this, so that the diagram looks neat. Okay, make the, see, you note that first I drew the surface like this, then I changed the orientation. So when you're asked to derive, take a orientation of this sort, so that in the diagram, the ray diagram, things will appear neat. It will not be congested. If you make the surface the other way around, not that you cannot make, absolutely you can make that surface also, but then in the ray diagram, things will look a little congested because of the refraction which is going to take place, the bending towards normal, away from normal. So when you make the orientation the other way around, the diagram will be a bit congested. So let's see here how it is not going to be congested. You will nicely be able to see all the notations which is there. So make the surface like this. That is the interface which is facing that side. Okay, over here center is to the right. Center of the sphere is to the right. Make orientation of this sort. Okay, now this boundary separates two different media. Left side la vandu medium mu1, right side vandu medium mu2 அப்படினு எடுத்துக்க போறேன். And we are going to make the assumption one medium is more denser than the other. Any medium you can assume, we will assume that mu2 is more denser. This side medium is more denser in comparison to this, and light rays are going to come and fall from medium having refractive index mu1. So let's make the optical axis first. So optical axis is here. Okay, and note that this aperture meaning this point to this point, the distance, the straight line distance between those 2 points, that is very small. Okay, it's a small aperture that we are considering for the boundary. So this assumption is there so that we can assume the incident rays to be close to the optical axis. If this aperture itself is small, the incident ray is not going to be like very far off from the optical axis, so that we can assume the angles to be small, the angle of incidence, angle of refraction and all which is there, we can assume those angles to be small. So when I make the diagram, you will yourself be able to see that very clearly and nicely. So let's take it up. I'm going to place an object. The object is on the optical axis, and light rays go and fall at this interface. Now once the light falls on the interface, it is going to get refracted. So now when I'm going to draw the normal, okay, you see that the normal, this is a point of incidence. let's say center of that sphere. Okay, this sphere's center is at this point. So this will be the normal. So now you see that normal and incident ray, okay, they are in the different sides. If you had reversed the orientation of the surface, like how I had it taken in the first diagram, if that is, if you draw like this, then incident ray, normal, both will be in the same side, one diagram will become congested. So this is the reason I told you that you make the surface in this orientation. Okay, so let's get back. So incident ray, point of incidence is A over here. Okay, and angle of incidence I, angle made by the incident ray with normal, angle of incidence. Now light ray is going to get refracted. I said that mu2 is more than mu1, second medium is more denser than the first. So the light ray is going to bend towards the normal. So it will bend towards the normal. Let's say it bends like this, like this, like this, and then the image formation takes place over here. So note that I is the image formation point, O is the object point, incident ray, AC is the normal, and this is the refracted ray. Now refracted ray, angle made by the refracted ray with the normal, that is R, refraction angle. Now I am going to mark some more angles. Note that clearly note these angles also. So I am going to take angle made by the incident ray with optical axis. This angle I am going to take it as alpha. Angle made by the refracted ray where the image formation takes place, that refracted ray with the optical axis, I am going to take that as beta. And angle made by the normal, so normal will pass through the center, right? So at the where it intersects the optical axis, that the angle I am going to take it as gamma. Okay, now we are going to make use of some geometrical properties. So when you are going to write these steps, you have to write the reason. So you see that there are some triangles which are being generated, and before I talk about those triangles, okay, there is one more construction which we are going to make. So from point A, where the point of incidence is, see, we have said that the aperture is small. Okay, so the point of incidence is going to be like close to the optical axis. So if that is going to be like close to the optical axis, angles alpha, beta and gamma, they are going to be like very small angles. Now, apart from that, alpha, beta, gamma being small, apart from that, there is a construction which is going to be made like this. You drop a perpendicular from point A to the optical axis. Okay, so this is a perpendicular. Let's say it meets the optical axis at a point which I am going to call it as P. And since the aperture is small, okay, so note that since the aperture is small, what we are going to say is the foot of the perpendicular is going to be like almost very close to the center point of this arc. So this arc is there, right? So that center point and point P, they are coincident points. So we are going to say that P to O, that distance PO is going to be same as the distance from the center of the arc to point O. Right? So we are going to, in the expression which we have, we make the measurements from the center of the arc. So what I am going to say is whether you make the measurement from center of the arc or whether you make the measurement from point P, okay, the distances are going to be same. The reason being that the aperture is small. Since it's a small aperture, I can assume that P and the center of the arc point, they are like coincident points, right? So just note that, you have to mention that center point of the arc and point P are coincident points because the aperture is small. Okay, so once you write that out, now let's look at certain triangles. Now look at triangle AOC. Now in that triangle AOC, I is the exterior angle for that triangle AOC. You just extend that exterior angle, and you know exterior angle property, exterior angle will be equal to sum of interior opposite angles. So this you have to write in triangle AOC. Yeah, I am not writing it here, but you make note of it. In triangle AOC, angle I is exterior angle, and exterior angle will be equal to sum of interior opposite angles. Hence, what I am going to write is I will be equal to alpha plus gamma. I equal to alpha plus gamma. Similarly, look at the triangle ACI. Okay, this triangle ACI. In triangle ACI, gamma is the exterior angle, and that exterior angle gamma will be equal to sum of interior opposite angles. So gamma equal to R plus beta. So we write this based on exterior angle equal to sum of interior opposite, exterior angle equal to sum of interior opposite angles, interior opposite angles. Okay, so now what we are going to do is make use of Snell's law of refraction. Now what does Snell's law of refraction state? Mu1 sin I equal to mu2 sin R. Mu1 into sine of angle made by the incident ray with normal in that medium. So mu1 sin I equal to mu2 into sin R. But what I am going to say is I and R are going to be small angles. Reason being, the I is alpha plus gamma, and alpha, beta, gamma are all small angles. If alpha, beta and gamma are small angles, alpha plus gamma is also going to be a small angle. So I is going to be like a small angle. Gamma is also alpha, beta, gamma being small. See, gamma itself is small, so R also must be definitely a very small angle. So I is also small, R is also small. So what I will do is sin I will be replaced with I. That's it. So replace mu1 sin I will be replaced with I, sin R will be replaced with R. Okay, I is angle, R is angle. And what I am going to do, I am going to replace I and R from these expressions, and I will express the relationship which we have over here, getting rid of I and R, and I will bring alpha, beta and gamma into the picture in this equation. So in place of I will put alpha plus gamma. So I will have this relation mu1 times I is nothing but alpha plus gamma equal to mu2 times R will become gamma minus beta. Okay, gamma minus beta. Now all the angles alpha, beta and gamma are quite small, so I can replace alpha with tan alpha, beta with tan beta, gamma with tan gamma. So replace it. I am going to erase this part out over here. So I hope you would have definitely made note of it. So if not, you can just pause the video and make note. So I am just creating some space for me to work. Now I am going to replace alpha with tan alpha. I will do that. So I will write it out. So mu1 times, I am going to replace alpha with tan alpha, gamma with tan gamma. Similarly on the right hand side also, mu2 times, gamma replaced with tan gamma, beta replaced with tan beta. Now tan alpha, tan beta and tan gamma I am going to substitute from the triangles. So look at tan alpha. Tan alpha will become AP divided by OP. Right? So I will write it like this. Mu1 times, mu1 times, tan alpha becomes AP divided by OP. Or I will write PO, because we are going to make measurements from P. So I will write PO plus tan gamma. Where is that? Look at this right angle triangle. Tan gamma again opposite by hypotenuse. So substitute AP divided by denominator is going to be PC. Right hand side equal to mu2 times tan gamma is going to be opposite by adjacent. So AP divided by PC minus tan beta AP divided by PI. So you see that AP is common on both sides. So cancel AP out, and then okay, cancel AP out. Andhra Pradesh state out. Recently it was split into two states, so it just suddenly struck my mind. Okay, so that was just a pun intended. So you cancel AP out. So mu1 times. When you cancel this AP out, you will have 1 divided by PO plus 1 divided by PC equal to mu2 times 1 by PC minus 1 divided by Pi. Okay, so we will rearrange the terms, bring U and V on one side. So PO is the object distance, Pi is the image distance. So object distance and image distance, we will keep it on one side. Other terms, we will take it on the other side and see what happens to this particular expression. So let's do that. I am going to again make space. So if you are noting it down, you can pause it and make note of it. So I am creating some space for me to work with. Okay, so I have erased this portion. Now I am going to rearrange this. So if I rearrange this, what I will say is I will bring Pi this side. So mu2 divided by Pi plus mu1 divided by Po equal to mu2 by Pc minus mu1 by Pc. So I can write this as mu2 minus mu1 divided by Pc. Yeah, that's it. So this is the expression that we have obtained. Okay, now you see the sign convention that we are going to apply. Incident ray direction is positive. You make the measurements in the direction of incidence. Let's say this is U, right? So this is U and this is V and here this is R. Right? So you clearly note that U is this distance, V is the distance here, R is the distance here. Now I am going to use the sign convention. So Pi will become plus V. In this direction we are measuring, in the direction of incidence. Pi becomes plus V. Po will become minus U. Pc will be plus R. So you have the formula mu2 divided by V. This will become minus mu1 by U equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. So that was the spherical surface refraction formula, mu2 by V minus mu1 by U equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. In fact, you can try to change the orientation and proceed and do a derivation. You will get the same mu2 by V minus mu1 by U equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. Okay, and then use that particular formula with proper sign convention. When you are substituting the values of U, V and R in the expression, you have to substitute that with the proper sign convention. But anyway, this was just the derivation part, so you can make note of it. And I'm going to next continue and show you how Lensmaker's formula comes into picture for a thin lens and also the thin lens formula. Okay, Lensmaker's formula is that 1 by f equal to mu of lens by mu of surrounding minus 1, that formula which is there, and thin lens formula 1 by f equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. So those put together it will be one derivation, but we will be making use of spherical surface refraction formula and deriving it. Okay, so I'll just bring it up and discuss it out. That derivation is also an important derivation. You might be tested, but most likely this is going to be like a 5-mark derivation. Make sure to write all the points in between. That angle, exterior angle equal to sum of interior opposite angles. Aperture is small, so that angles I and R, alpha, beta, gamma, all these angles become small, and you can replace sin I with I, sin R with R. And then you can replace alpha with tan alpha, beta with tan beta, gamma with tan gamma, and so on. All those things when you are working in your derivation, you have to write all those reasons next to the steps. Okay, so only then you will be awarded like full 5 marks. It's a I would say this is a bonus 5-mark question. If this is going to come, you can easily get 5 marks. Just practice it once after you make note of it. Practice it once again before your exam. Whenever you're going to have an exam pertaining to this particular topic, practice it once more. You practice it before your board examination, and you should be able to comfortably get the hang of how to derive it. It's a very simple derivation. Okay. Okay. So once done with that derivation, now we will see Lensmaker's formula derivation and thin lens formula derivation. So again, only this is a simple derivation only, but practice it once, it will be comfortable for you. So let's start. I'll put the heading Lensmaker's formula and thin lens formula. Okay, Lensmaker's formula, thin lens formula. Okay, so I'll take a lens like this with two boundaries, radius R1, this side radius is R2, optical axis. Okay, it's a thin lens, so this thickness is going to be neglected. So whether you make the measurement from this point or whether you make the measurement from this point, okay, those measurements are going to be the same. Okay, and let's say lens has refractive index mu L. Mu suffix L stands for refractive index of the material of the lens, and surrounding, let's say the refractive index is mu naught. Okay, by the way, keep in mind that lens maker's formula and thin lens formula which is there, it can be used only when the lens is placed in the surrounding medium on both the sides, this side and this side of that particular thin lens which is there. The surrounding medium should be same on either sides. Okay, only then we can make use of lens maker's formula and thin lens formula. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, I have some running nose, so kindly bear with me. Now, let's take this particular situation. Let's say object is this side and incident rays are falling on the lens. Okay, from this mu naught medium, it is going to enter into the mu L medium. So I am going to make use of the spherical surface refraction formula. I am going to make use of it twice because at two surfaces it will refract, one at this surface and the other at the right surface. So two refractions. So for the first refraction, now note that I am not going to apply the sign convention. Once I finally get the formula, in that we will apply the sign convention. So I am not going to directly use the sign convention directly when I am going to write mu2 by v minus mu1 by u equal to mu2 minus mu1 by r. I am not going to substitute the sign convention in that, but I will do the refraction twice, okay, without putting the sign. So finally we will take care of the sign, how it is to be substituted. Okay, so let me write this first refraction. So just write the refraction formula. Let's say object is somewhere over here. Okay, so that's the object. Okay, this distance over here. Okay, this is u. Okay, and the light ray goes and falls. It is going to get refracted here, and then it is going to get refracted again. So there is a second refraction happening. Okay, so first refraction, let me just extend that. Okay, the image, the first image should have formed over here. Okay, that is the image I1. Again a refraction happens. So the second refraction, after second refraction, the image formation takes place over here. So that is the final image. So object is O, image is I, final image after two refractions. Okay, and the distance here, this is V. The distance of I1 from the lens, okay, let's take that as V1, the first image that is formed, and that will act as the object for the second refraction. So this is the image of first refraction acting as object for the second refraction. This you must definitely mention it when you are doing the derivation. The image of the first refraction, I1 that is, will act as object for the second refraction which is going to take place. And let's say I1, this I1 is at a distance of V1 from the lens. Okay, so this distance is V1. Okay, now we will apply the refraction formula, but I am going to ignore the sign convention. I will substitute the sign convention in the final step. Okay, so I am going to write the first refraction, second refraction also I will write, and I will do some manipulations. I will get to an expression later in the last manipulated step, which the expression which we have, we will substitute the sign in that step. Okay, so now let me write over here. Okay, first refraction taking place. Okay, first refraction. Alright, so for the first refraction, light ray goes from mu naught to mu L. So refracted ray is in the medium mu L. Okay, so mu L divided by, see, image formation takes place at I1. So mu L divided by V1 minus mu naught divided by U. Note, I am not putting minus U. Okay, I told you I am not going to substitute the sign. The sign I will do it in the last step. So mu L by V1 minus mu naught by U. This will be equal to mu L minus mu naught divided by radius, which is R1. Again, I am not substituting the sign. I am not putting like plus R1. Of course, it is plus R1, but I am not substituting the sign now. In the final step, I will get the expression and then substitute the sign for the distances. So this is first refraction. Okay, now from the first refraction, we will have an image. Now that image is going to act as object for the second refraction. So for the second refraction, now note that the distance of image from this refracting surface, and distance of this image I1 from this refracting surface is going to be the same because it is a thin lens. Okay, so since it's a thin lens, we are going to say that the distance of image from first refraction surface, that is distance of image I1 from the first refracting surface, is same as the distance of image I1 from the second refracting surface. So if we do that, what I am going to get is, now refraction, incident ray is in mu L, refracted ray is in mu naught. Okay, so second medium is mu naught. So mu naught divided by V, that is where the image formation takes place after second refraction, minus mu L divided by object distance is V1 equal to mu2 minus mu1 divided by, note I am just putting R2, I have not substituted the sign. Okay, I am not putting like minus of R2, I will keep it as R2 itself. Now finally in the expression R2 should be substituted as negative, okay, because you need to apply the sign convention for the radius, which I have not done yet. In fact, I have not applied sign convention for any distances. I am just writing the refraction formula. Now what I am going to do is I am going to manipulate these two equations. You see that I do not want I1 in the expression, that is the position of I1 I do not want. So I want to get rid of V1. So if I add these two equations, V1 is going to be gone, simple. So take this equation, add it with this equation. Now if I add, what I will get is, okay, so I will just erase this part out over here so that I can have some space to work with. Okay, so adding these two equations, adding the two equations, I will have mu naught divided by V minus mu naught divided by U equal to, add the two equations, it is mu L minus mu naught divided by R1 plus mu naught minus mu L divided by R2. I have just added. Okay, now I am going to simplify this further. Now upon simplification, and so if you are to make note of it, pause the video and kindly make note of it. Okay, so I am going to go and just make certain mathematical manipulations to this particular equation. So now what I will do is I will write it like this: mu naught by V minus mu naught divided by U equal to, now I will write this as mu L minus mu naught divided by minus R2, and I can express this as mu L minus mu naught times 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Note that this is derived without substituting the sign into the equations. So finally, when I have an expression, when I am going to substitute values into this equation, I have to substitute the distances with proper sign convention. That is U value, R1 value, R2 value, all these have to be substituted with sign convention. Oh, I will do one more thing. I am going to divide both sides by mu naught, so that I have 1 by V minus 1 by U equal to mu L divided by mu naught minus 1 times 1 by, sorry, this is R1, okay, 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Okay, so just make that correction. That was R1 over there. Now you look at this expression. Now we have this particular expression over here. Now what is meant by focus of a device? Okay, for that you must understand the definition of focus. So if I want the focus of or focal length for this thin lens, what we will say is, we have incident ray parallel, a parallel incident ray falling on the lens, where the final image forms, that is going to be the focus. So what I am going to say, if you put U as infinity, meaning that the object, the incident ray is parallel, so the object goes to like an infinite distance. So if you put U as infinity, the V value that you get, okay, that V value is going to be the focal length for that particular device. So if U is infinity, V will become F, and let's now substitute. If I am going to say that object is at infinity, so these things you have to write it down, so make note of it. So what is focus? If the object is at infinity, where the final image forms, that is the focus. So if you put U equal to infinity, V will become the focal length. So you put U equal to infinity, V equal to F, you will have 1 by F minus 1 by infinity equal to mu L divided by mu naught minus 1 into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Okay, so that is the lens maker's formula. 1 by F equal to mu of the lens by mu of surrounding minus 1 into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Okay, but this formula has been obtained without substituting the sign of R1 and R2. So when you are going to substitute the values of R1, R2, in this you have to substitute it with the proper sign for R1 and the proper sign for R2. That is whether it is plus or minus, you have to take care of that. So now you have this, that becomes 1 by f. So in place of this, you put 1 by f, you will get the thin length formula. Right? So this as a whole becomes 1 by f, right? So I will have 1 by v minus 1 by u equal to 1 by f. That's it. That's the thin length formula expression that we have got. 1 by f equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. So that's the derivation, guys. So make note of these derivations properly and practice it once again so that you get comfortable. I'll see you in yet another session. So bye. Until then, take care. Stay safe. Tata.